this is Rosendo. Oh no, right here, and this is Dan. I got a new nutrition coach because of the IVs and all that shit. So I had to change my nutrition coach.
Talk about that. How does that IV ban, when it goes into effect, how does that affect you?
Well, it does. Obviously I was a bigger guy. I was like 250 pounds, and it was, I had to make weight first, and then I always used the IV. It was always my way of rehydrating. And then when they said they were hiring USADA, I knew. A lot of fighters didn't know that this ban was going to come. I was like, damn. I knew. It was like, we couldn't IV when I was wrestling. So I was using Tyson, and he did a phenomenal job of helping me get down the weight. But then how are we going to do it after the weigh-in? What was I going to do to make sure that I could compete the way that I competed before? So I'm talking to Brian Stan, who is, one of the smartest guys in MMA, and he's telling me about George Lockhart and Dan Leaf. And I was like, well, he's like, these guys are mad scientists. He's like, these guys, they get it, they get it. And so I start talking to old Danny here, and Dan and I are talking, and I'm like, Dan, what are we gonna do to help me rehydrate? I go, I don't want to start cramping. Man, when I used to wrestle, I'd be throwing up, shitting, cramping. It was just horrible because I was so dehydrated and I was sticking stuff in my body that I didn't need to put in there. So I start talking to old Danny, and he starts talking to me about stuff that I can't even pronounce the words, and I'm like, all right, dude, come on. And so he's been at my house for a month. He cooks my meals. He sits and watches every one of my workouts to make sure that my body's responding the way that it needs to respond. If I'm sluggish, he understands what I need in order to help, lift me up and get me back on point. So this guy's been a godsend. Like this morning, I was like 219 pounds. When am I ever 219 on a Monday? It's like ridiculous, It's like I'm never that light, but and I eat all the time. I'm constantly like this. No more. But he's constantly feeding me, constantly monitoring me, making sure that I'm okay. And he did something. They did something to rehydrate me that I don't quite understand. But Dan, tell him a little bit, not too much, because we don't want it, a little bit.
About rehydration?
Just a little bit.
Well, with DC, the approach was obviously first to go to live with him and to focus just on his overall health. So we cleaned up his diet and just wanted to monitor his training. And as you can see, the guy looks great. He's held on to all of his lean mass, and he's really slimmed down. He's the lightest he's ever been at this point, which is a big part of it. We don't want him to have to dehydrate any more than is absolutely necessary. So the big challenge, obviously, for a lot of the fighters is now they can't use the IV. And an IV, as you know, is a saline bag. It's an isotonic solution, and all that means is that the osmolarity of that solution is the same as your blood, so that it absorbs in the cell more efficiently. So the challenge is to create oral rehydration solution that is isotonic, or as close as you can get to that, so that it absorbs in the cell very efficiently. A lot of fighters are very scared that, and rightly so, that they're not going to be able to rehydrate in the time that they have allotted, and especially through the blood-brain barrier, and to get fluid around the brain to mitigate concussion as much as possible. So that's why it's absolutely essential to get an oral rehydration plan in place for fighters that will get fluid through the blood-brain barrier into the cells and get the fighter where they need to be to compete just like they were with the IV. So that's what we're doing with Daniel, and we're very confident that he's going to be ready, and nobody's going to notice a difference, especially Daniel. I think he's going to be the best he's ever been.
And it's shit like that. You see? It's shit like that. That's why. And that's why the guys, it's shit like that. So it's like, okay, I can believe in this. So I'm not scared anymore. Before I was scared. I was terrified. But it's stuff like this. Like I go into his room at my house, and he's like writing shit down on the tablet, and I'm kind of peeking like, what's he doing? I see this dude pretending to put salt on my food. It's nonsense. I know you're not putting anything. He's like moving the salt shaker. Doesn't give me anything. I'm like, all right, whatever.
Is Celine on the plan too?
She has been. Yeah, she actually has been, and she's dropped like 17 pounds.
For her.
Yeah,
I'm saying if you're in the house,
might as well use him, right? He's cooking. So yeah. So he's got a plan. But I'm not gonna tell everyone, and these guys, and everybody, guys are starting to take notice now because everybody's going, hey, Are you available? Are you available? But he's working with me and Islam Makhachev because, he's obviously one of my teammates.
Do you see people jumping weight classes because of this IV ban, or do you see people just competing unhealthy?
I think, okay, so my biggest concern is early, I think guys will try to go around it. And I think they may get in trouble. This is what I think. Just from personal experience with people in wrestling, I think they'll try to go around it and they'll get in trouble. I don't understand. When USADA came on board, these guys have no idea what they are getting into. USADA, this is a whole different level, man. This is stuff that you have no idea. If you've been doing things and you think you're going to be able to get away with these things with USADA on board, you're in trouble. So I think guys will try to go around it right now. They'll try to steal IV and do that and kind of play the dumb card. There's no reason to be dumb anymore. You got to educate yourself, or if you can't, get somebody in a position that they can do it for you and make sure that you don't have to try and make your way around the rules. Going up in weight is not going to be an option. Guys will not do that. We know that. But I think right now they'll probably try to make their way around the IV thing.
So did you have to fill out the whereabouts? How many times did you get tested? Did you get surprise tests?
I did. I got surprise tested at my house. The whereabouts form is not that hard anymore. It was hard when I was wrestling. Because before, there wasn't really many apps. Now there's an app for everything. For people making apps every day, thousands of them. When I was wrestling, you had to actually, if I was to change to my schedule, I had to fax something and tell them that I was gone. Like, I had to fax a new schedule. That was tough. Right now, it's not tough. You grab your phone. I go, okay, well, today, I got to stop in L.A. for this deal. 12 to 2 at the Palm in Los Angeles. At midnight, I'll be in Houston. It's that simple. It's a push of a button. So, yeah, I've had to do all that.
But they showed up at home.
They came to the house once. Well, I hadn't signed the paperwork, so they went to the gym. And when they went to the gym, the girl from the gym called me, and they came to my house, and we sat down, and we had a good conversation. And it's fast. But I drink so much water that I was so diluted. Before, when I was wrestling, if you were diluted, they had to make you drink something else so that you can actually get to the levels that they need to be able to test your P. Now, it's 2 times, and then they have to let you alone. So they don't pester as much as they used to.
Do you do anything special to prepare for the fight?
Yeah, I do. For the weight cut, a ton of stuff. My diet's obviously a lot cleaner. I drink a lot of water. Man, it's like we have so many gallons of water in my kitchen. It's like they're all just like stacked on the side on the counter space. And Sonia's like, you guys need to get rid of those water bottles. It looks terrible. And I'm like, okay, we'll put it in the recycle bin, but whatever. But it's like I drink so much water. Like since he's been there, I think honestly, there's only been about 2 days that I haven't had 2 gallons of water. And I think that's the most beneficial thing because I sweat like crazy, man. I start walking, I'm sweating. I start running, I'm sweating. I was running a treadmill the other day and pulled out my shirt, and I swear 2 pounds of water dripped out. It was so disgusting. We had to sit behind the back of the treadmill with a towel, put it on a faster speed, and just let the towel soak up all the water. It was disgusting. But it was awesome. It means I'm going to make weight good. That's all I care about.
Could you